Hey everybody, this is Daniel from fitnessblender.com, and today we've got an upper body strength training workout that is going to be focused a little bit more on the functional side of strength training as opposed to just traditional strength training. So what we're going to be doing is 3 groups of 2 exercises each in an AB format, so 2 sets per exercise of 10 repetitions. Now you are going to want to have a bench or something like it. If you have an aerobic step or something like that, you can use that as well. Just something that will take the place of a bench if you don't have one, and a set of dumbbells. So, other than that, let's go ahead and get our warm-up started in just a second. All right, let's go ahead and get started with our warm-up. We're going to be doing starting off with an arm scoop, so nice and slow. Stretch your hands back behind you, then bring your hands up, and then curl. Bring your hands over behind your head, and then right back down again as you extend your arms back out. So actually work against yourself, so using those biceps and triceps, the front and back of your arm, to really work against themselves, working those muscles in as big of a range of motion as you possibly can. Trying to warm those muscles up, get some blood pumping out to them. Just a few more through. Nice big full range of motion. Nice good stretch in the back, and then slowly pull it back over. Curl those hands in, stretch those arms back behind you, and back down. We're going to go into an arm swing, so it's just straight in front of your body. Just make sure you're alternating which arm is on top each time. Try to get a little bit more range of motion each time. So if you need to, slow it down and exaggerate that motion by squeezing it back, using those rhomboids, upper back, to squeeze it back, and chest to pull across in front, squeeze it back again. Just keep those lungs open. Just focus on that form, that range of motion. Don't swing or jerk those arms. You want to have control over those arms the entire time, focusing on that range of motion and getting a good squeeze both through your upper back and your chest. All right, we're going to do torso circles next. So keep those hips locked into your legs, so straight up and down. All that rotation is just coming from your actual abdominal area, your core, your abdominals, obliques, and lower back. So you're going to bend over forward, off to the side, around back behind you, back in front, pause, then back the opposite direction. So you even get those shoulders into it as well. So as you come around in front, kind of roll those shoulders over forward. As you roll around and back, squeeze those shoulders back behind you again. Just keep working on that range of motion, trying to get it to open up more and more. Don't push it, should never hurt. You're not really looking for a deep stretch on any of this. You're just trying to get blood flowing to that area. Next, we're going to go into a nice big arm circle. So just have those hands in front. Bring them up over top of your head, trying to keep them as close to your head as you can. Stretch them down, pause in front, and reverse that direction. Again, pulling them back behind you as far as you possibly can. Over top of your head, really nice and close, and then back up in front. Start speeding that motion up just a little bit once you have that pattern down. Just keep those lungs open. Really focus on that range. Trying to get a little extra range of motion every single time you do this. Pushing as far back as you can, keeping as close to your chest as you can in front. And just reverse that direction. All right, we're going to do a side bend with a reach next. So feet just a little bit wider apart. You're going to lean your body sideways. Don't rotate through your shoulders, but just lean sideways. Stretch across with your hand. Try to get as much of a pull through that oblique as you can. Then relax it. Same thing on the other side. Stretch and lean. And same thing back. Just take your time. Contract those muscles through your core. Make sure everything's nice and tight. Contract those muscles through your shoulder and through your lats, working against one another. So feel like you're actually pushing through a solid object as you press your arm up and then pull it back down. One more on each side. And come back up. Go ahead and go into a boxer shuffle. We're going to try to get that heart up just a little bit faster before we move into the actual routine of this. So get those feet moving. breathing normally. Try to keep that motion really nice and quick up on the ball of your foot. Start getting those legs moving. Try to pump around a little bit more blood. We're going to jump into a jumping jack next. So it's just traditional jumping jack, nice and slow. Arms out and back in. As you become more comfortable with the motion, you can always start speeding it up. Try to get those arms warmed up. Try to get that heart rate up a little bit higher. Get that core temperature up a little bit more. Speed it up if you can. Keep those arms nice and rigid, those legs nice and rigid. Don't just swing them around. And let it relax. All right, go ahead and grab those weights, get your bench set up, and we'll start into that routine in just a second. All right, everybody, our first group is going to be an alternating chest press and an alternating close row. So I'm going to be starting off with the chest press first. If you have your bench, go ahead and get it set up. Go ahead and grab those dumbbells and we'll get started. So laying flat on your back. I'm going to be using 50 pounds for this. Just use whatever you feel comfortable with. So you go ahead and just lay back. Get those dumbbells straight up above your chest. And like I said, it's going to be an alternating motion. So nice and slow. One arm comes down at a time. Press it back up. Lock out slightly. Keep a little bit of a bend. Down and back up. So that's one. Just keep that motion going. Nice, slow, controlled pattern. What this does is it throws your body weight off just a little bit, causes your core to have to work a little bit harder. Get just a little bit more out of it than you would with using a traditional flat bench. Just take your time, nice and slow. Watch that form. What you want to do is you want to have that forearm perfectly straight up and down. Don't let it kick in or kick out. If you're feeling this too much in your bicep or your tricep, then it means you're letting that arm or that elbow bend too much. You're letting that forearm lean in or lean out. A little over halfway. Nice, slow, controlled motions. That's 8 on each arm, just 2 more on each side. One more on each side. And let it relax. All right, we're gonna drop this weight off. Our next one is going to be a close row. So when you bring those arms in nice and close, I'm going to drop down quite a bit for this one. So I'm going to drop down to 30 pounds. There's a combination between having the arm strength to do it and having the back strength to do it. So what you're going to do is get your back perfectly flat, lean straight over, and keep those arms in nice and close. You're going to row up, let it relax down, and the same thing on the other side. Try to keep that back as flat as you can. Keep those lungs open. Make sure you don't rotate your shoulders. You're going to have a tendency to want to open your chest up to the side you're rowing to. You want to keep those shoulders parallel to the ground the entire time. It's already halfway. Tight, tight squeeze. Just 2 more on each side. One more on each side. Keep those lungs open. And let it relax. All right. Drop those dumbbells for just a second. Let those arms shake out just for a minute. We're gonna start right back into that chest press again. So if you felt like it was pretty easy last time, this is your last set of this one. So bump up that weight a little bit more. If it felt good, stay right where you're at. If it felt too hard, like you weren't quite able to finish those repetitions, then you might need to drop that weight off a little bit. So I'm actually going to drop just slightly. So I'm dropping down to 45 pounds per hand. I'm gonna do that same motion. So sit on that bench, lay back. Arms right up in front of that chest. One at a time, nice and slow down. Press it back up. Same thing on the other side. One down. Keep those lungs open. Anytime you're lifting really heavy weight, or that body tries to engage that core, you're going to have a tendency to want to hold that breath. You always want to keep those lungs open. Never ever hold your breath. Again, watch that form. You want to keep that forearm perfectly straight up and down. Don't let it rock in or rock out. Whew, this is going to hurt. That's halfway right there. Just keep going through it. Nice clean form. Keep focusing on it. That's 8 on each side, just 2 more on each arm. One more. Last one. Keep those lungs open. And let it relax. Okay, drop those weights up. Or drop them off. Let those arms relax for just a second. We got one more round of that close row. So, get that weight for that close row. I'm going to use the same I did last time, so 30 pounds. Flatten that back out, bend straight over, slight bend in that knee, and row it up. One at a time, keep those shoulders parallel to the ground. Just breathe normally. Tight, tight squeeze each time. It's halfway. Just focus on that form. One more on each arm. And let it relax. All right, go ahead and drop that dumbbell off. Let it relax for just a second. We're gonna take a short little break here. In between these strength exercises, you wanna give yourself a little bit of time for that blood to get back in those arms before you jump into that next one. So give yourself a little bit of rest. Whatever feels most comfortable to you. Try not to go much over about 5 minutes. We'll be right back. All right, our next 2 strength exercises are going to be an alternating shoulder press and an alternating pullover. So for that shoulder press, I'm going to be using 20 pounds. Go ahead and grab the weight you want to be using for it. Just going to take a seat on that bench. You're going to use those core muscles quite a bit to keep yourself perfectly straight up and down. Bring those dumbbells up to a rack position right at that shoulder height, elbow directly underneath that wrist. Nice and slow, one arm at a time, press it up. Nice and slow back down, pause and hold, and the other side comes up, then back down. Just keep that motion going. Nice and slow and controlled, just like that chest press. Same exact idea, just pressing over your head this time as opposed to over your chest. You want to really focus on keeping those core muscles nice and tight, but at the same time, keeping those lungs open. halfway. Make sure you don't arch your back. You want to keep your chest pretty much straight up and down. You don't want to hyperextend. You want to keep it a nice neutral position. Two more on each arm. Keep those abs contracted nice and tight. Last one on their side. And let it relax. All right, drop those down for just a second. Those arms shake out for a moment. We're going to be doing a pullover next, so laying flat down on your back, arms straight extended above your head, then alternating arms from there. So I'm going to be using 20 pounds again. So pick whichever weight you want to use for this one. Lean back, arms straight up over top of your shoulders. You're going to do one arm at a time. Drop down and back up. Same thing on the other side. Take your time. Don't go past a range of motion that you can control. Keep those lungs open. Keep those core muscles nice and tight. All of these motions should be really focusing on that form rather than the amount of weight that you're lifting. So move slow, move deliberately. Don't worry about quick, powerful motions, because this slow motion will build more raw strength than anything. A little over halfway. That's number 6 on both sides. Just keep going. Again, keep those lungs open. Two more on each arm. Try to keep that lower back down against that mat or down against that bench. One more on each side. And let it relax. All right, drop those weights back up for just a second. Got one more set of each of those. So again, starting back over that alternating overhead press. So go ahead and grab those dumbbells. I'm going to stay with the same amount of weight I was using last time. Nice flat back. Keep those core muscles contracted. Pop those dumbbells up to shoulder and start into it. One arm at a time, nice and slow, under control. Now the reason why I always start with my left hand, typically with all the exercises we do, I always suggest starting with a different hand each time. But the reason why I'm always starting with my left hand is because my left side is weaker. I'm right-handed. So my left side is just naturally just a little bit weaker than my right side is. So what I do is I start with my left side. So if my left side gives out, that's where I stop with my right to make sure that I'm matching left to right so my right side doesn't do more work than my left. Because I'm trying to get my left side to catch up to my right all the time. Keep those lungs open. That's halfway. Keep those motions slow. I know it's probably burning like crazy, but just keep pushing through it. Almost done. That's 8 on each side, just 2 more for each arm. Last one. And let it relax. Woo. All right. Since those pullovers were a little bit difficult for me last time, I'm going to drop the weight off a little bit. So I'm dropping this down to 15 pounds per hand. Let those arms shake out just a second. All right, let's get this last one done. So flat out in your back, straight up above that chest, and one at a time, nice and slow down, and back up. Try to keep an even pace the entire time. So your arms are going to want to move quicker in one direction versus the other, or just quick in general to try to get the repetition over with. But try to slow them down. Force your body to give 100% effort through the entire range of motion, no building up momentum. Again, check that back, make sure that lower back is standing against that mat or against that bench. Halfway. Focus on that form, get as much range of motion through that arm, through that shoulder as you can. Two more in each arm. One more on each side. And let it relax. All right. Again, drop those dumbbells off. Give yourself a little bit of a break. Like I said, no more than 5 minutes. As soon as you can, come back to it, and we'll jump right into that last set. If you need to, grab a drink of water. Otherwise, we'll get started here in just a second. All right, let's go ahead and get ready for our last group here. This is going to be a bicep curl. We're actually going to be doing an alternating hammer curl and an overhead tricep extension, starting off with that tricep extension first. So all of these exercises we've done up to this point have actually used that bicep and tricep, at least to a small extent. So they're probably already feeling a little bit tired. So if you need to drop down a little bit, that's perfectly fine. I'm actually going to be using a little bit less than I would normally use for just a traditional bicep curl, just because my arms are feeling a little bit tired. So feel free to do the same. So I'm going to be using 15 pounds for this. We're starting off with an we're starting off with a bicep curl, and we're going to be doing that tricep extension. So standing or seated, whichever is more comfortable. If you're seated, just make sure you're sitting in the very, very edge of that bench to make sure your arms have plenty of room. So nice flat back. One at a time, that arm comes up. Squeeze that hammer curl position, slowly back down, let it relax, and the same thing over the other side. Very slow. Keep those core muscles engaged. You don't want to let that lower back round. You don't want to tip back. You don't want to round forward. So nice, slow, controlled motion. Keeping those lungs open. Just breathing as normally as you can. So one thing that a lot of people do wrong with curls is they let that elbow move in relation to where that dumbbell is. So what you want to do is actually keep that elbow directly underneath your shoulder. And what that does is it forces that bicep to have to work through an entire range of motion, whereas a lot of people, when they do their curls, I'm going to do a nasty one here, you're going to actually see a lot of guys pull their elbow forward and kind of lean forward into it. And what that's basically doing is allowing you to use a little bit of shoulder as opposed to just bicep. You can actually get a little bit of momentum or swing into it. So these guys are out there, or girls, swinging way more weight than they can actually control just to make themselves feel strong, as opposed to actually doing a really nice clean form and getting it done properly. Just keep that motion going. So two more on each arm. Last one on each side. And let it relax. I'm going to set these back up real quick. I'm going to drop my weight down a little bit more for an overhead tricep extension. So same position as far as that body goes. The only difference is going to be where those arms are. So with this one, you're going to bring both those hands directly above your head. Lock them out. A little tiny bit of a bend in that elbow. Get that back nice and straight. Try not to arch that back. You want to keep it straight up and down in line with that spine. Nice and slow, one hand at a time. Drop behind your head and right back up. I actually started off the wrong arm here. So I'm going to start my count over on that left side. So nice and slow down. As far as you can go. Right back up. Keep that elbow directly above that shoulder. As you start getting more and more tighter with this one, that elbow is going to start trying to drift forward, and your back's going to start leaning a little bit, so you're actually going to start tilting that chest up towards the ceiling. So just keep watching that form. Keep those abs engaged so that chest stays straight up and down. Keep that shoulder engaged so that elbow stays right above that shoulder. Keep it going, that's halfway through. So if you can see those arms out of your peripheral vision, so just kind of out of the side of your eye, make sure that elbow doesn't start drifting forward. Make sure you can just barely see those arms. If you can see them really, really well, it means your elbows are way too far forward. 8, 2 more on each arm. Almost done. Keep that form just a little bit longer. Ouch. And let it relax. Whew, that burns. All right, go ahead and drop those dumbbells back down. Short little break with those arms kind of relax out for just a second. Go ahead and get ready for that next one. Going back over to that hammer curl. Seated again, nice flat back. Those arms relax down to your sides. And one at a time, curl that hand up, tight to that shoulder, slowly back down. Keep that elbow directly underneath that shoulder. Don't let it lean forward. Keep those lungs open. Contract those core muscles. Nice rigid spine. No flexing through that trunk. All that motion is just coming from around that elbow. Tight, tight squeeze each time. It's halfway. Keep those lungs open. There's 2 more on each side. Just keep that motion going under control. I know these are painfully boring and so incredibly slow, and those muscles are burning like crazy. But the more you concentrate on that form, believe it or not, the more progress you're going to make, way above all the fancy quick stuff. All right, 1 more on each side. I think I'm doing an extra one here, but the extra one to grow on. Go ahead and let it relax. All right, so drop those dumbbells back up, down, Ready for that overhead tricep extension. Got one more of these, or the last one until we do our little bit of a cool down. So hands straight up above your head again. Nice straight back. One arm at a time, slowly down. Right back up. Keep that elbow directly above that shoulder joint. Core muscles pulled in nice and tight. Concentrate on that form. Halfway. Arms are starting to get tired. Keep pushing through it. Watch that form. As many clean repetitions as you can. Two more on each side. Push through it. Clean form. And let it relax. Ooh, man, that burns. All right. Go ahead and set those dumbbells up. Go ahead and get that bench out of the way. We're just going to do a few stretches real quick. I'll let you go home. We'll start those up in just a second. All right, let's go ahead and get into that cool down. So go ahead and stand up for this one. We're going to start off with an arm cross stretch. You're going to bring that arm across in front of your body, grab behind that elbow, and pull across as close to your body as you can. Keep it kind of up close to that neck. You should feel that stretch across that shoulder blade. If you're tight there, a lot of people have actually really, really loose, limber shoulder blades or rhomboids because of desk jobs. So you might not feel it really, really intense here, but still stretch it out because those muscles did work today. So hold there for just a few more seconds. Switch it, same thing on the other side. Bring that arm across, grab behind that elbow. Again, pull it across in front of your body as close to your neck as you possibly can, as close to your chest as you possibly can. Trying to get a good stretch across that shoulder blade. The more you pull it into your chest, the more you pull across, the more you should feel that stretch. Just try to keep that other shoulder pulled in. Don't start rotating with it. And let that relax. We're going to do our next one, which is overhead. So you can bring left hand to left shoulder, grab that elbow with your right hand, and pull across. Try to get that arm not only pulled across, but also kind of pushing back behind you a little bit to get a little extra stretch out of that shoulder. Same thing on the other side. So bring that other arm up. Right hand to right shoulder, bring that elbow across. Just breathing normally, keeping those lungs open with that stretch especially. Trying to let everything cool down, trying to let all that waste product that your muscles just built up by doing activity kind of flush out of your system so your body can get rid of it. And let that relax. Shake those arms out for just a second. Doing a wall chest stretch next, so hand up against a wall if you have one handy, otherwise a door frame works as well, or a heavy piece of furniture. So palms facing back behind you. Rotate away from that hand. You should feel that stretch in your chest. If you're feeling it more in your bicep, then just rotate your hand so the inside of your elbow is facing forward rather than up, or vice versa, depending on how you're feeling that bicep contract. Just stretch that chest, try to keep that shoulder low. Same thing on the other side, so switch it around. Fingers facing back behind you. And open that wall, or open that chest up as far as you can away from that wall. Just a nice deep breath. Just let everything relax. Next one, you're going to have those feet just about shoulder width apart. You're going to grab those hands back behind your head as long as you have the flexibility for it. Tip over forward and let those arms just kind of stretch down. You should feel it through the front of that shoulder just a little bit. And this shouldn't be a real intense stretch. You don't want to injure that shoulder. Just kind of let them pull back as far as is comfortable. It's okay if those knees aren't locked out or straight. You want them just a little bit bent so you can actually get a little bit more of a tip on this so those arms will stretch. And with those arms relaxed, we're going to go straight into a regular toe touch. So straight down towards those toes, legs nice and straight. So bending over as far as is comfortable. Just trying to get down to the ground as much as you can. Like I said, really trying to focus on keeping those legs straight to get a good stretch to that hamstring, the back of that leg, as well as that lower back, because that got a lot of work today from having to try to hold those nice solid positions. Keep that back flat. And let it relax. We're going to go down onto the ground. You're going to do a cobra stretch first. So laying flat down on the ground, hands down by the base of your rib cage. Very slowly press up into those hands. Look up towards the ceiling. Pull those shoulders down back on your back. Pressing them down away from you, trying to get a little extra stretch out of it, a little extra flex. If you can't quite get those arms locked out all the way, that's perfectly fine. Just go as high as is comfortable. And let it relax down nice and slow. Sit back into those heels. Arms stretch out in front of you. Just let that lower back kind of release. Let it slowly kind of pull apart as you stretch away. The more you lay down those thighs, the more that back is going to arch just a little bit and kind of decompress. So just lay there as comfortably as you can. Walking those hands away from you, trying to get a good stretch of that shoulder as well. And let it relax. All right, guys, that is our last stretch, which means this workout is complete. If you want to do a little bit of low-level cardio after this, feel free. Otherwise, this is the end of your routine for the day. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time.